right, everybody, welcome to Nerdy 430, the show where my buddy Tim Keck and I talk about nerdy things we saw. Maybe we liked it, maybe we didn't like it. We're going to find out on this show. With me, as always, as I said, is my buddy Tim Keck. Tim, what did you think? Sorry, let me take this again.
We're watching Mortal Kombat 1995.
Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome to Nerdy 430, the show where myself and my buddy Tim Keck talk about some nerdy things that we saw recently. We, this past week, rewatched Mortal Kombat from 1995 to prepare for the release of the new Mortal Kombat movie next weekend. Tim, Mortal Kombat 1995, what'd you think?
First off, I like the idea of us referring to it now as Mortal Kombat 1995. It's like Wonder Woman 19, whatever year that took place into.
1984.
That movie sucked. This movie also sucks. So maybe it's not a good trend. Maybe anything with numbers in it is going to suck. 19. What was that war movie? It was like
1917. That was 1917.
So probably not good either. I don't really remember.
God.
That was the one that was like a single shot, right?
Yeah. You're out here destroying some movies that I really care about. Really cared about 1917. Really cared about Mortal Kombat 95.
I remember this as a kid, and I think even then I was a little disappointed. I wanted more. It was fun. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's a fun, bad movie. I just really wanted more like magic stuff. I wanted more ice powers. I wanted more venom spit. I wanted more fireballs, and I didn't really get enough. Maybe they were just limited by the technology of the time, but I wanted more. I wanted more fantasy stuff, Kev. I just did.
I gotta say, that's also in my notes. I think this is the rare example of an insane special effects driven movie where my note is that they need more insane stuff. They actually have room to get crazier here. There's a few things in the movie that are like, when they happen, it's a perfectly fun movie. I had a good time watching it. It's not gonna win any awards. I think it'd be fun to go see a screening of it in like a bar theater situation. It's a fun one to put on with friends. I watched it at like midnight. It's great for that time frame. There's a couple moments in this movie where I saw the moment happen and I was like, give me more of that. The first one is Shang Tsung staring at the camera and shouting, "You will be next." Just directly staring down the camera. And then his face turns into like a zombie face or something.
Yes.
I need that every 15 minutes in this movie.
I need more corny action like that. It's so fun. Sorry, I was just now trying to pull up. I wanted the cast. I wanted the cast list. I realized, Kevin, while we're talking, it's going to be very hard to keep track of all the names of these people. Am I crazy? I feel like
no, they don't have the Mortal Kombat characters don't have like sticky names. The only ones that are like really easy names that I always remember are Liu Kang, just like sticks. Great character, great name. Obviously like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, those ones. But everybody else I had to be constantly checking their names. Scorpion? I can't get my head around Johnny Cage for some reason.
Johnny Cage is so fun. I don't know why. Johnny Cage, Kano. It's like, okay, these are Sonya Blade is even like kind of a funny name, but it's like not. These are just the only names that stood out for me were Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Reptile. And I wanted to see these guys all the time. I feel like they were defeated maybe a little too easily by these just like pretty normal fighting human beings, but whatever. Sub-Zero gets defeated by some water in like an ice spear and gets speared. I mean, the spear is actually awesome. I like the idea of someone getting stabbed with a big thing of ice. But why couldn't he do that to somebody else? I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about Mortal Kombat. I was expecting Sub-Zero and Scorpion to like be the good guys, I think.
Huh. I mean, that was also never really clear to me. So let me ask you that. Let's set the basis here.
Yeah.
What is your prior experience with Mortal Kombat coming into this movie?
I'd say just like the arcade game. I think I had maybe a Game Boy game of Mortal Kombat and had the characters. I remember playing a lot. My favorite character in that was like a Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile ripoff, but he was in all black and had some kind of like weird ghost thing. I don't even know who that would be. He wasn't in this movie, but I don't know. It was just as a goofy fighting game. And I remember spamming all these like cool things like fireballs and the bike kick. And it really just built up to all these cool moves. So that's, I guess, what I was expecting was more corny like finishers, like super powered stuff. And this is corny and the action's fun. I mean, it's like Power Rangers caliber action, which is really goofy and a good time. It's a goofy good time. But I wanted more over the top corniness, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had some notes of other moments that I want to see more of. One of them was there's a fight at one point between Scorpion, who is one of the, I guess, like mystical fighters from the place that's attempting to invade Earth, the Outworld. And he is in a fight with Johnny Cage. His head comes off and reveals just a skull, like his face, his mask, but also face come off at the same time. And it's like a screaming mannequin skull head underneath. I want more.
I did want more of that. I wanted more like goofy skulls. I did really like the idea of Reptile being, I know earlier on I was like, I remember Reptile being a human fighter, or at least looked like a human fighting somebody. But then it's like this weird goofy ass CGI'd like actual reptile lizard like running around, and then it gets sucked into a skeleton and becomes like the reptile guy I know. And I was like, okay, that's great. I don't know if that's what it was in the video game, but that's exactly the kind of dumb stuff I want to see in this kind of action movie.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think we should back up here, and I just want to give a quick overview of the plot so that people know what the plot was for this movie in case they haven't seen it since 1995.
Very fair.
Mortal Kombat tells the story of 3 decent fighters from Earth being cast as the only defenders that Earth has against this invading extra dimensional force known as the Outworld. Whether or not the Outworld will be able to invade Earth is determined by a tournament they're fighting in called Mortal Kombat. It has been said that apparently if the Outworld wins this tournament 10 times in a row, uninterrupted, not best of 10 times in a row, uninterrupted, they will be allowed to invade Earth. I guess the insinuation there is that if they're able to win this tournament against Earth's best fighters 10 times in a row, it means that Earth is incapable of producing good fighters, and therefore invading will be easy.
I don't know.
Practical.
I don't know why this tournament is a stipulation for them invading and they can't just invade, which, spoiler alert, at the end, it looks like they're just going to invade anyway. So, yeah. So what was the point of the tournament? What is the point of the tournament? I don't think it makes any sense that they're even having a tournament. But it's fun, I guess. It's a good excuse for people to fight each other.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt. Is that all of your explanation? That's probably more than enough explanation, right? There's a tournament.
That's more explanation than we actually got in the movie. I think I put it more concisely than we were ever told.
What do you think of fighting tournament as like a plot device? Do you think it's been great in Dragon Ball Z? I'm thinking of like the Iron Fist comic book. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Otherwise, it's kind of regulated to this kind of thing, or like a Jean-Claude Van Damme style, like action movie type thing. But do you think it would be possible to make like a legit good action movie that's entirely a fighting tournament?
It's really funny you say that, because that is something I've been mulling over for weeks now. I noticed when the trailer for Mortal Kombat came out, I was also starting to watch Dragon Ball Z again. And I was thinking like, man, these tournaments are a really recurring theme. I started thinking about fighting games, and it makes sense for fighting games because, you know, a good fighting video game, you need a loose plot and then just let the characters fight. So tournaments kind of a perfect premise for why people would be going up and fighting multiple different people one-on-one. But between all these different properties, Tekken, Street Fighter, Virtua Fighter, Bloody Roar, all these things, it's like this like tournament to determine the fate of the world. It's a trope at this point, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of the tournament to save the world.
I think it's great. I'm trying to think of the next if they could do a tournament like this without an existing franchise, what it would take for me to buy in. Maybe just like a really charismatic lead actor or something like that. If there was like, you know, a young Jet Li just entering a tournament to defend the world, maybe then I'd be on board. I don't know who they would bring in unless you're tying in other I don't know, without a pre-existing formula like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I feel like it's a pretty hard thing to just create organically, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could go a couple routes. You could go the route of tying different intellectual property together that wasn't previously tied together. Like if there was a tournament movie coming out and it showed that one of the people in the tournament was Wesley Snipes as Blade, it would get you a little bit interested.
See, that would be insane. That's the kind of thing that I would love to see, but they could never do, is they just take everyone from the Marvel universe and then just put them on some alternate planet where they all have to fight to the death. That should be a what if. If they don't do that for one of their like what if spin-off shows and just have all the characters fight to the death.
I mean, that's kind of what the Secret Wars comic was like in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. If they ever end up doing Secret Wars, I mean, that would be wild. I guess we kind of got that
actually
Civil War.
Russo Bros said they'd come back if they do Secret Wars. So,
I like the Russo Bros.
Balls in your court, Marvel. I think the only other route that you can do is, you need the fighters to have. Fighting games have it perfect, where everybody's got to have a thing. They've got to have a gimmick. They've got to be very easily distinguished from each other. Kind of like how all the gangs and the warriors have like a theme. You got like the baseball furies and stuff. You need that. And then you need each person to be played by, if you're making a franchise out of nothing, if you're just starting this fresh, they've all got to be names. You've got to have Jason Statham. Basically, like picture the Fast and the Furious movies if all the characters were in a fighting tournament instead of driving cars against each other and with each other.
Exactly. Snoop Dogg needs to be a character.
Yes, dude.
We need some basketball player to be there. We need like DeAndre Jordan as just like a character in the tournament.
Yeah. You get Jake Paul to play the bad guy.
Yeah, Jake Paul's in the tournament. I don't really want to elevate Jake Paul's platform, but I would love to see him get wrecked by stuff.
Exactly. That's the only reason.
He was at WrestleMania and he took a stunner, which is like a real, he's just a bad guy and he just got hit with a finishing move from this dude, Kevin Owens. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's all we want. Jake Paul's recognizes that he's a bad guy. And I don't know. I'm just saying maybe there's a chance we get a movie where Jake Paul's just in it to die in a gruesome death. And that would make everybody happy and make him happy because he's probably making a lot of money from that.
The problem there is that he would make money and he's legit a bad guy. So I think you gotta have a character. Here's the way you do it. You have a character that's playing a clear riff on Jake Paul, but you make sure that the actor is a good person.
That's easy enough to do. A lot of great actors are good people. What do you think? How many people do you think were in this tournament?
Oh, okay. So I'm also glad you asked that. It's unclear. They say that the Outworld has won 9 of the past 10 tournaments. So Earth has to win this. Earth has 3 defenders. We see each of the people from Earth. There's 3 people from Earth, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade.
But these are just the ones Raiden selected.
Right. And it kind of seems like they're the ones. So Raiden is, I guess, Earth's like God representative.
I guess so.
It seems like these are just the 3 that he had access to. Johnny Cage was recruited by the antagonist, Shang Tsung, pretending to be like his old mentor. Sonya Blade came to this tournament because she wanted revenge against one of Shang Tsung's minions. And then Liu Kang is the descendant of, I guess, one of Earth's great old gods or something. And so he's the only one that really has like a real reason to be there.
Right. Why did Shang Tsung recruit Johnny Cage?
I think maybe he thought he would agree to do it and he would be easy to beat, which he's correct. Johnny Cage's whole plot line. So this character, Johnny Cage, is supposed to be a Hollywood action star who is irritated because he knows that he's really good at martial arts. But everybody in the press and everybody in the public thinks he's a phony, thinks he's terrible at martial arts. So he's really frustrated, wants to prove that he's good at martial arts, gets tricked into competing in this tournament, thinking that it will be a way for him to prove his actual martial arts prowess. He also sucks. He's not a good martial artist.
Johnny Cage?
Yeah.
He's one of the best martial artists in the world. He beats the guy with 4 arms. He's an incredible martial artist.
He beats the guy with 4 arms by kicking him in the nuts, running away. This is real. He kicks him in the nuts. He runs away, and then he knocks him off a cliff. I could do that.
I think he punches him in the nuts. And regardless, some part of his body goes right into the nuts of this unstoppable force with the 4 arms. But he beats him. He's got real wins on his record. Who'd he beat before that? Then he beats Scorpion. He beats Scorpion and the 4-armed guy. That's a hot streak. Show me another fighter in this tournament with a better record than Johnny Cage.
I literally couldn't. We only see these 3 fighters in the tournament. That's it. So this is one of the things that I'm really unclear on, is because we see, so ostensibly, if those 3 representatives of Earth get beaten, then that's it for Earth. But there are other people in this tournament that we don't really find out where they're from at all.
Right.
Kano is from Earth, but we get the sense he's like an Australian organized crime guy with a cyborg eye that is never explained. We get the sense that he, even though he's from Earth, he's fighting for the Outworld. Sonya Blade kills him, but it's just, it's really strange. We see Goro, who's the 4-armed guy. There's like this giant 4-armed monster, which is really well done. The special effects, it's all practical. He looks great in like a really beautifully corny way.
He does look good. I thought he actually looked really good.
I thought it was super fun. This is like one of the best like monster things I've ever seen in a movie like this. In Goro's fight, we see him beat, I didn't count, but it's got to be in the neighborhood of 50 guys. We just see guy after guy hit the mat, like hit the dirt, having been defeated by Goro. And, it happens enough times we see somebody hitting the dirt that I had the thought of, oh my God, this has happened enough times that it's actually funny. And after the point where I started finding it funny, it happens 3 times as many times. It just keeps happening. There's a 6-minute long sequence where all we're seeing is a montage of different guys hitting the ground that Goro is defeated. If this is a numbers game, then like the Outworld won. Goro beat 50 people from who the fuck knows where. Where are they from?
And we see him fight their one friend, the one friend they have, who like he just comes in, he like jabs him once in the stomach, and they're like, yeah, stick and move. They're like giving him advice from the corner. It's like, dude, this guy's twice your height and has 4 arms. I don't think jabbing him once and then jumping back is gonna be like the killing blow you think it is. That dude was just there to die, really. It seems like, what's the structure of this tournament? Because it's not like a bracket. I was picturing like a bracket, but if all of these guys keep fighting Goro, how is one fighter fighting 80 times in this tournament?
The whole thing, there are no rules. This is not based in any kind of sense that we would recognize on Earth. This is Outworld rules. It's beyond our human comprehension.
They say there's a tournament, but it doesn't actually mean anything. And Shang, they say there's a tournament, and just anything that's weird, they're just like, well, this is part of the tournament. This is weird. The locations are weird. Some people are fighting on the beach. Some people are fighting inside in like a weird, like, post-apocalyptic bar. Just like surrounded by all these people. Sorry, I do want to say this before I forget, is I thought it was funny that Shang Tsung recruits Johnny Cage. And I like the idea that Shang Tsung thinks Johnny Cage is a bad fighter because he follows like E! News, or he's watching TMZ and he's like, oh, look, this guy's a washed up shell of what he used to be. I'm going to go and recruit him to see if he'll come in this. But Shang Tsung is at every fight in this tournament. He's sitting there watching every one. Raiden not involved. So for some reason, we only have representation from the bad guys. We don't have like an Earth ref who's hanging out watching these fights. Where's the Earth ref?
He's off doing his own thing. This is an Outworld tournament. There's one thing that I think they did really well in this, which is that in the middle of the movie, you go from fight to fight with no transition, no background, no plot development in between. There's a stretch where you see I think 4 fight scenes back to back. No connective tissue. It cuts directly from the end of one fight to the start of the next fight. The characters are in a different location. They're fighting a different person. Honestly, shit like the Godzilla franchise, I could use more of that. I could use more of just like, it's admitting that we don't need this connective tissue because people are here for these fight scenes.
I mean, they gave us what we wanted, which was just dumb fights. They did it. They threw it in our faces, and it's awesome, man. It was a good time to listen to. A good time to watch. Sonya Blade, that her fight stood out to me. 2 fights stood out to me. It was Liu Kang and Katana, and Sonya Blade and Kano. Mm-hmm. Sonya Blade kills Kano. He's like the only person. It seems like all these fights are to the death, except Sonya Blade kills Kano. And he's the only one that doesn't like disintegrate and turn into like some otherworldly thing. She just like kills another human being. Mm-hmm. Has she been killing a lot of people? Is this the first time she's ever killed anybody? She just like broke his neck with her legs. For some reason, that death was really jarring for me. Like she just killed another human being. I don't know. I just it wouldn't have felt so real if he'd like turned into dust or like been a skull the whole time. But she just killed a guy with a robot eye.
It is tonally different because it's the only death that it doesn't feel like it could be a death on Power Rangers. Like everybody else is dying by being laid flat on their back on a mat and maybe getting one big punch to the chest at the end and then they dissolve. But yeah, she just snaps a guy's neck. But she's armed forces, you know, she's out there defending the death of her old partner. So she's definitely killed before. I'll tell you what, she's going to kill again.
Now that she's got the thirst for it, now that she's got the taste for it. Yeah, it is weird to see her just break a human being's neck when every other villain has been destroyed. Like, you know, like those putties where you push the button on their chest and they all explode.
Yeah.
And then Katana and Liu Kang fight, and they just kind of roll around very playfully with each other. Like they're setting up, you know, I don't know, a weird sex scene. And, then the fight's over, and then it's just okay. You guys rolled around for a little bit, and then Shang Tsung's like, "Okay, Katana, you disappointed me." And then the fight's over, and we don't see what happens to him. I don't know what the consequences are. It's weird. Done. Fight's over. No worries.
That was one of the fights that was transitioned to directly, so we didn't have any setup for it. But on Wikipedia, it was described as a scrimmage. So I don't know where. Maybe that's in the script notes.
Some of them are scrimmages, and some of them are not. Yeah. Okay, let's get to some segments, Kevin.
Yeah.
First up, our new segment, When Did You Know? Kevin, when did you know that Liu Kang was the chosen one?
I think immediately. You're not having a prophetic dream. The movie opens with a prophetic dream that Liu Kang has where his brother is killed by Shang Tsung. And then he screams, "You're next," at the camera and at Liu Kang. I was like, okay, this guy's the chosen one.
It's pretty clear right from the start that he's our guy. He's our guy. And I don't know what he necessarily does in the tournament to prove that he's the guy. I don't know what the proof is other than, you know, it's his birthright. He was born that way. But I don't know. Does he show, like, why isn't Johnny Cage fighting the guy at the end? Isn't Johnny Cage is the better track record. Johnny Cage has done better in this tournament.
I guess so, maybe. But Liu Kang, let's see. Who did Liu Kang fight? Liu Kang started off
Sub-Zero. That was his only good kill.
He fought Reptile too. He killed Reptile and made Reptile explode into a bunch of bugs.
At the end, after the fact, because then they like renege on the tournament and they like suck Sonya Blade into this alternate dimension. It really falls apart at the end. Once they leave the tournament structure that we all know and love.
Yeah, strange, man.
I guess he does fight Reptile. He does beat Reptile because then he fights that other guy after. I don't know. It just seems like whatever. He was the chosen one because he was the chosen one, and that was that. And I don't know. It was fine.
That was the whole thing. Yeah. I got a question for you. In the fight. So one of the highlights of this movie is the fight between Liu Kang and Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is this mystical fighter from the outworld who can freeze stuff with magic. ostensibly just can make cold stuff come out of nowhere. The special effects on him doing this are like wonderful 90s special effects.
Yes.
It's the kind where it's like, it's clearly like a bad 90s effect that's been superimposed over the footage, but also it looks so bad that it's fun. In this fight, Kitana had warned Liu Kang earlier in the movie that he would never win his fights unless he was fighting with the thing that gives life, which at the time I thought was love. I thought it meant his heart in like the very fifth element sense of the word, where it's like the fifth element is love. So he's fighting Sub-Zero and he's getting his ass kicked. Kitana comes in and is like, use the thing. He doesn't remember her. She literally comes into the room and says to him, use the thing that gives life. Tim, when did you know that the thing that gives life was water?
That's a great question, because I thought it was like heart or like his fighting spirit or just his internal energy. Love is very funny because, I mean, she's like his romantic love interest. But I don't know what he would do then, just kiss Sub-Zero, or I don't know. But I thought it was going to be like humanity or some inner fighter. It's literally just liquid. Like throw liquid at the ice guy and you defeat him instantly.
Which means that she was warning him on the beach. Like, look, you're going to lose unless you use water. But then, is she just telling him to stay hydrated?
Then why didn't you just tell him to use water? Because you tell them something ambiguous because it leads to character growth and they earn that moment. But learning how to throw a bucket of water at a bad guy isn't character growth. It doesn't reveal anything deeper about Liu Kang as like a hero or a protagonist. It's just the way you beat Sub-Zero.
Yeah. It was a very, very localized piece of advice. I took a huge, I'm skipping ahead a little bit to beefs and thieves. So where we talk about a beef that we had with the movie and then a thief, something that stole the scene for me. I got a beef here, which is that when Liu Kang throws the bucket of water at Sub-Zero, so the Kitana comes in, says, remember to use the thing that gives life. Liu Kang looks over, sees a bucket next to him and goes, water. Picks up the bucket, throws it at Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is in the middle of creating like an ice force field. There's a bunch of like real cold energy swirling around. The water comes out of the bucket, freezes because it makes contact with the cold force field, freezes into a perfect like javelin shape. Gets very sharp at the end when it comes through. Not kind of a lump of water all at once, not like a little block of water. It's not bucket shaped like in a cartoon. Freezes into a perfect, extremely sharp javelin, which then impales Sub-Zero through the chest, kills him. If you're fighting Magneto and he has control over all metal and all magnetic metal, and you throw magnetic metal at him at a force field that he's making, it's going to stop in the force field. It's not going to go through the force field and hit him. Huge beef. Why would the water not have just stopped in the ice like field that he was making?
I think, first off, it's because you know nothing of physics. I think the power and angle that Liu Kang threw the water at, it was so focused that as it froze, it formed into a point, which was, you know, Liu Kang's superior fighting technique, I think, as we're really just glossing over that. Also wondering if Sub-Zero's powers work the same way as Magneto's, where Magneto is able to manipulate metal, but Sub-Zero, it seems like, just makes things cold, right? He doesn't actually move the water. Does he move ice? I don't know if we see him move ice. We see him freeze a guy, turn them into ice so that they explode, and then we see him start to do this weird ice thing. But I don't think we see him like telekinetically bend ice or bend water or anything like that.
Interesting. Maybe that is a thing. Maybe that is a limitation of his that I'm not aware of. So, hey, you know what? I take it back. I take back my beef. This is on me.
Should have done your research before the movie, Kev.
I'm sorry. I came in here half cocked. I will say I got a thief here.
Wait, I got a beef.
Oh, you got a beef?
I got a beef. My beef is that at the end of this tournament, the guys won, the good guys win, and Shang Tsung's just able to grab Sonya Blade and dip. He just grabs Sonya and he bounces and he just breaks the rules. That's not cool. One, you're breaking the rules of this tournament that so far you're the only one trying to ref. So like, what? You guys came up with this dumb idea for a tournament. You're the only ones paying attention to it. And now you're going to cheat in this tournament that you invented for no reason at all. It doesn't make any sense. Also, why is he so obsessed with Sonya Blade? He's super obsessed with Sonya Blade. Is she involved in some ritual? Does he need her for anything? It sounds like he's using her because he thinks she's the weakest one, so he can kidnap her. And then if he defeats her in combat, then he's able to invade Earth. But they're able to invade Earth at the end anyway. So what? Why? Why does he care about Sonya Blade? And why is he cheating in his own tournament?
No matter which way you shake it, it's incredibly sexist. He's assuming that she is the weakest one. Mm-hmm. He either wants her because he like thinks that she's hot, or he assumes that she's the weakest one because she's a woman, when she's the only one that fucking killed the person that she was fighting.
She killed
him in cold blood.
She's the only one that's taken a life.
Yeah, she does not need help. The guys come to rescue her at the end of the movie, and it's like, I'm pretty sure she had it. I'm pretty sure
her wardrobe.
She had this whole thing.
Her wardrobe change, though, that's a thief for me. They go to rescue her. She's in a different outfit. Her hair, she got a blowout, and she's just like hanging out, waiting for them to come save her. She looked great. Kevin, you had a thief.
I had a thief. My thief. I love that yours was Sonya Blade's blowout, because mine is actually Liu Kang's hair the entire time.
Yes.
Liu Kang's hair is so good in this movie.
Yes.
It's amazing. Holy shit.
His hair is next level, man. It's perfect. It's long. It's like, this guy's scrappy. He's fun and adventurous. He looks like Mowgli out of like the Jungle Book or something, or maybe like a young Lethal Weapon Mel Gibson, where it's kind of like the full mullet looking thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like a very late 80s, early 90s haircut. I had long hair for a long time. My long hair had a lot of body. It made me very self-conscious because my hair was just so big. It was just really big hair, and it kind of looked like a wig. Seeing Liu Kang in this movie is like, that's how you do that look and make it look good. His hair is massive, but it's so fun.
It's great. He just has a great head of hair, and he's got bangs, I think. It's just a great look. I mean, I guess I have more thieves, but I like the idea of us just leaving it on the hair. The hair game in this.
Hair game in this movie is strong.
The hair game is strong in this movie. The hair game is strong. Kevin, should we wrap this up on some reckless speculation?
I think so.
Since this is not a series, I don't want to talk about Annihilation. I watched the first 10 minutes of like the next Mortal Kombat movie, and I was like, oh my God, this is already too much. So much CGI stuff. It either looks great or way worse than this movie. I can't decide, but we watched this movie in preparation for the new rebooted Mortal Kombat coming up next. So let's recklessly speculate on what do you think that one's going to be like. Kevin, you got any thoughts on what the new movie is going to be like?
I think they're going to bring in none of this movie. I think all of this movie is going to be left on the cutting room floor. The one piece that I expect to come out of this movie is, I am assuming they're going to use like a remix of the theme song. The theme song is so iconic.
I mean, that should have been a thief. Honestly, every time they played the theme song, I was like, yes, it doesn't matter. They start playing the theme song and a fight's about to go down. Every time they did it, I was excited. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, hell yeah, now it's getting started. I would have been happier with this movie, honestly, if every single fight scene, they played the Mortal Kombat theme song. They should be playing it the entire time on loop through this movie. Oh my God, I love the theme song so much. It's the thief for sure. It stole the show for me. And this next one, yeah, you're right. They're going to have it, right?
There's no way they can't. Look, the theme song. So here's something that I found out that was kind of interesting about the theme song. The movie came out in 1995. The theme song came out in 1993 and was already being used in TV commercials for the game. So the world had already had this song for 2 years before the movie came out. Still going strong. The soundtrack album for this movie went platinum. The song has been out for 2 years, and it's so good that it makes the soundtrack album for this movie go platinum.
That's amazing. It's so good, dude. They're going to do a remix of it, right? Is it even worth? Should they even remix it? How good is it going to be?
Look, I don't think they should remix it. I'm assuming they did remix it.
Yeah.
But
if this new movie, honestly, it'd be so awesome. The fights, just in the trailer alone, you can tell these fights are like way legit. There's some cutscene where Sub-Zero like freezes. Then this trailer looks like Sub-Zero's got a little more like telekinetic control over this stuff because he freezes like a blood knife and stabs somebody with it. I want to see a spine ripped out. This movie's an R, dude. I want to see a hard R. I want to see some goofy, over the top, spine ripping out, heads being blown off, blood knives being stabbed into people. I want some gruesome stuff. And you know what? I don't want this new Mortal Kombat remix. I don't want a new take on it. I don't want Lil Nas X rapping over it. I want the original Mortal Kombat theme song in this new ass beautiful CGI'd movie. And that's all I want. Anything else and I'll be disappointed, Kevin. I'll say that right now.
I'm right there with you, Tim. Right there with you. All right. Well, hey, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for listening. This podcast is a part of Mess Around Media. So if you're looking for other podcasts to listen to, check out Mess Around Media on Instagram.
You can find other podcasts on Apple or Spotify if you search for Mess Around Media. It's great. That's it for us, guys. Thank you.
Flawless victory.
Bye.
Bye.